Okay. If you've ever argued with a girl, you already know you're just not winning that. It's not that she's smarter or that she's louder, but it's that you're fighting the wrong kind of battle. Guys argue to be right, girls argue to be understood. And when those two goals collide, you're not having a conversation. You're just having some type of emotional warfare at this point. You're trying to use logic in a place that runs on feeling, and you're wondering why every "I'm just saying" turns into a 3-hour debate about something you did last summer. And you know what I'm talking about. See, men and women speak two completely different emotional languages. When a guy argues, he wants to solve the problem. When a girl argues, she is the problem, or at least she's expressing one that you can't simply see. To her, the argument isn't about the thing you said, but it's about the meaning behind what you said. You'll say, "I'll call you later." She heard, "You're not a priority." You said, "You're overreacting." And what she heard was, "Your feelings don't matter." You're playing chess, but she's painting emotion in 4D. You're not even wearing the glasses, like you can't see it. That's why you can't win, because you're trying to solve feelings with logic. Logic doesn't calm emotion, but it invalidates it. The moment you start saying that doesn't make any sense, she stops listening, because now you're not addressing the hurt that she's feeling, but you're analyzing it. And for her, that's the same thing as ignoring it, basically, or disregarding it. The more you defend yourself, the more she feels unheard. The more you try to explain what you meant to her, the more she hears excuses this, excuses that. You're stuck in a loop to where your calm makes her angrier, and her anger makes you colder, and now you're answering things how you probably typically wouldn't. And now you're both losing a war that started with one sentence. Think about it like that. Here's what most guys don't get, I feel like, because girls don't argue to win the argument. It might be hard to believe, right? But they're arguing to connect with you on a deeper level. When she's emotional, she's not saying you're wrong. Maybe she is, but she's not saying you're wrong. She's saying, "I don't feel close to you right now." Her words are loud, but her message is quiet. It's, "I miss feeling safe with you. But this is a roadblock, and you know what I'm saying, our little, you know what I'm saying, what we got going on. So what's up?" The problem is most guys only hear the words, but not the message behind it. So instead of leaning in, they pull back. Instead of asking, "What do you need right now?" they say, "You're dramatic." You're being very dramatic, Cynthia. You know, congratulations though. You just unlocked level 2 of the argument, and it's about to get worse. But listen though, I feel like from the male perspective, we see it as, bro, most of us were never taught how to handle emotion, especially somebody else's, which is true. Obviously, is it true? And your parents tried their best, obviously, to do what they do, or your guardian or whatever. But we think staying calm means staying cold, and we think we're being mature by not reacting. But to her, that just kind of reads off as, "Oh, you don't care, da da da. You don't really give that much of a, you know what I'm saying, a hoot." The truth, the argument was never about who's right, but it's more so about whether you can stay emotionally present while she's storming and while she's, you know, melting down. Because for her, emotion is that connection that you feel. Because if you shut down, she feels abandoned. You know, if you yell, then she's gonna feel unsafe. But if you stay grounded though throughout all of this, calm but not too cold, firm but gentle with her, that's when the storm settles, I feel. So what's the secret to actually winning to this whole thing? I've said this in another video, but you win by not playing, not by walking away, but by switching the field. Stop arguing with logic and start thinking more with validating her emotion. And if you feel truly that instead of you're overreacting, kind of come at her and be like, I get why that bothers you, honestly. You know, instead of, I didn't mean it that way, say, I didn't realize it came off like that. You know, kind of come together on a way that you feel like you can make your understanding more clear than just making it sound like you don't even really care, or they're making it a bigger thing than it is. You're not admitting defeat, but you're more so building trust with this person, because what she wants isn't a lawyer who's gonna tell her these things, but it's a listener, somebody who can hear her and appeal to her emotions. The second she feels heard, the argument itself will end. Poof, thin air, gone. Not because she gave up, but because the thing she actually wanted was for you to finally show up. The thing she actually wanted to show up was understanding, and it's there. Most guys think that being unbothered is power, but sometimes, in 100% of the time, it's not. Power is staying kind when you're misunderstood. Power is not raising your voice when you were right. And power is being able to hear anger without taking it personally. And that's what emotional intelligence actually is. And once you learn it, you realize you never have to win arguments again, quote unquote win arguments again, I'll say, because nothing's threatening your peace anymore. You're not losing control. You're controlling what actually matters, your energy. So when do you walk away? Don't get it twisted. You know, validation doesn't mean being a doormat for these ladies. I'll be very clear. If she's disrespecting you, if she's shouting or turning every talk into a manipulation tactic or just manipulating you flat out, you don't engage, but you just leave. Not to punish her simply, but to protect your peace, because that's the most important thing. Real men don't argue for dominance, but they move for discipline. Sometimes walking away isn't weakness, but it's self-worth in action and fruition, because you can't build love in a space where both people were trying to win. Think about that. So yeah, you'll never win an argument with a girl, probably, because it's not about winning, but it's about connection and coming to an understanding. When you stop trying to be right and you start trying to be understood, that's when the argument will become a conversation. She doesn't want you to lose, but she wants you to feel like you're on the same side as her. And that's the game nobody tells you about. You don't win against her, but you win with her. So next time you're in an argument, don't just defend your ego, defend the connection. Because at the end of the day, she doesn't remember who was right, but she remembers how she felt when she was wrong. And you can't win with words. You gotta win with emotional maturity. Thank you for listening. That's TNL. Like, comment, subscribe. I appreciate y'all.